What up guys, Bjornson here, and welcome to the tee-off. Doing some beginner guide videos here for a Wargame AirLand Battle. I've had some problems with the sounds in the last couple of videos, and I've gotten some feedback on that, so that's good. So hopefully changing the sound around on these next couple ones should help improve the quality of these. For this video, we're looking at tanks in the game, tank units. Of course, I'm sticking with the Warsaw Pact and specifically the Soviet Union, just for ease and comparison. So for tanks, there's a couple different types in the game, but mostly you just want to pay attention to the weapons when it comes down to it. But just to show types. Which you can see quickly up here with these little scrollovers over here, which they've actually they did a patch a couple days ago, and now when you scroll over these, you can see even further information, which wasn't decipherable before. And you can see them on my last videos when I scrolled over that there was no info, but now you can see like a main battle tank. You can see a cavalry tank prototype, which obviously will tell you right off the bat if it's a prototype. And it seems to be just that way down the line. So that actually helps my job, makes it a little bit clearer and easier. So let's look at the two types here that you can see. Well, I guess three by those numbers. So you can see this tank prototype, which these cavalry tank ones, so I'm assuming that they're quicker. They're obviously cheaper than the other tanks, and the weapons don't seem to be as good, so maybe these are just semi-scouts that aren't as good at scouting and better at killing, kind of like the vehicles category, which we'll go over later, of course. So maybe that's how it is. Then of course there's the main battle tanks, and you can have really weak ones. These are only 15 each, and then of course the T-80U is the most elite Soviet tank, and it also, as far as I'm concerned, is the most elite tank in the game. If you have 6 or 8 or any number of these out, they are very powerful and very hard to stop, and even the predecessors before them are very good as well. And these are the main battle tanks. These are what I usually use in tank heavy decks, and are the main battle tanks, and it's the bulk of a lot of my decks. So always good to have. Then of course there are these last two down here, and you can see with the fire in the background, and I'm sure if that didn't help before, then you can see with the logo up here. It's got a little flame down here. Obviously these are flamethrower vehicles. They always use napalm. Napalm, of course, is effective at demoralizing the enemy as well as burning them. It's not as good as if you had a machine gun or rounds hitting them, but it's more demoralizing, I think, than most of the stuff in the game. I don't feel too comfortable talking about them intensely. I don't use them that much. I don't like them. I've tried to use napalm units. I've tried to use napalm infantry. I've tried to use napalm tanks. I find them to be burdensome, unless perhaps you are fighting over a town and you can put infantry or tanks specifically in the town and help just, I guess, incinerate the town. Otherwise, I haven't found much use for them, but if people watch this and have anything to add, that would be great. Basically, those are the types of tanks. There are 3, of course, here. Previously, I would have said 2, but you can see up here they've added these more descriptive places, so now 3, and it doesn't seem to be like there's that much difference in road speed, so maybe it's just the autonomy thing that they're focusing on. I'm not entirely sure why these are cavalry and these are main battle tanks, but they do seem cheaper, and the weapons are differing. So let's just look at the weapons real quick for tanks, so you can see what they're good against, of course. Most tanks are going to be good against other tanks, against infantry, against artillery and other support things, not so good against planes or even helicopters. But you can see here, this is why I like the T80 the most, because you get not only a far range on your on the actual machine gun, which has a heavy suppression, but you also get a lot of, oh, look at this, they even added a description up there that they didn't have before, so that's neat. But you also get a lot of shots here on your main gun, and then of course these guided missiles are ridiculously awesome. Like I said, you get 3 of them per tank, so you keep a couple field trucks next to a squadron of them, and they dominate hordes of enemies, so it's very fun to watch. And you can see these weapons differ on down the line. You can see that between these, the last 2 weapons are the same, but it seems to be the initial missile that changes, and you can see it on different tanks and what they're good at. Of course, you can see heat is for anti-tank, you can see guide is for guided, how many they have, stuff like that. Always pay attention to the suppression and whatnot. And in the future, it looks like they're going to add descriptions here, which they haven't had before. They haven't had since the last time I played. So that could further make my job easier. But yeah, that's about it on tanks. A lot of people use them as the bulk of their army. I personally do on my Soviet deck, which is the main deck that I play. Of course, that may be unfair because I do believe the T-80U is the best tank in the game. So that's why I run a tank-heavy Soviet deck. But always good to have. At the very least, they're good to defend a place with while you move infantry around. So never underestimate the power of a couple good tanks in the game. And stay tuned for more videos.